All right, here's night one. I'm about to sketch Bob Marley. I got his canvas delivered. It's so weird being on this side of a piece, knowing that I'm about to go in, like, I paint at night mostly, and because of that, like, we have people here all day in the studio and the gallery getting orders put together, helping clients. And when I'm painting, and like I'll might have like a couple weeks in between a piece where I'm pretty much recovering. Like, because I paint at night, I like to be alone in the building, and we do business in the same room, my studio, that that I paint in. I work during the day, and then I'll paint at night. So I know that I'm going to be on opposite schedules of everybody else if I sleep late and paint till early in the morning. And I know there's going to be a lot less washed hair. This is the cleanest you're going to see my hair for a couple days. Anyways, I kind of love it. I kind of like that, like, vampire lifestyle. But also, I know that, like, the stereotype that people say of, like, a manic, crazy artist, it's almost like I'm like a werewolf and the full moon's coming out. So I'm gonna get like a little bit crazy. I'm gonna lock myself in my studio and I'm gonna like feel things for the next 30 days. So I've done my research. I know who I'm gonna be thinking about. I know what kind of music I'm gonna be listening to, and let's go. Let's do this. I think this would be technically day 3 or 4. I'm not sure, but it's Labor Day. So everyone in the office has the day off, and I'm in here by myself during the day, which is really lovely. I get to listen to weird music, and actually weird music. It's going to be Bob Marley. So here's Bob behind me. I did a lot of the sketch. It's very loose. I think I'm going to fill him in with just color, like get the color on there. I also brought sometimes I bring a stack. I brought my Pantone color cards so I can pull the cards for him. He is similar to Stevie Nicks, is like a little bit outside of like my natural go-to colors, which are typically jewel tones, because it's going to be like a 70s 80s vibe. And then on top of that, the Jamaican element, like I want it to be tropical, but through almost like a filter of the 70s and 80s. So the Rastafari colors are going to be there naturally. There's a lot of foliage in this piece, and I'll probably do his soccer shoes red just to get those Rastafari colors in, but I want it, like I said, to go a little bit more smoky, I guess. I don't know, but that's what this is for. So today is going to be a really good day. Okay, day 5, question mark. No face. We have no face yet. But we have some hands and some shoes, a bit of a guitar. I was thinking about how I've never done this before, like video logged the process of painting one of these portraits before, and I'm realizing why. I know I haven't documented this process before because I never know how I'm going to do something until I do it, because I'm not trained. And I hate to bring that up so much, and maybe all artists feel this way, like whether they've done it before or not. I'm realizing that now I have the confidence to put a camera on, like take a photo of an unfinished painting, because I know that I'll figure it out. Like, I've never painted dreads before. I don't know how I'm going to get them to look real. But I know I'll figure it out. So, I don't know. I was just having that thought, that thinking like, oh my gosh, why haven't I ever documented like day by day the process of what it looks like today, what it looks like on day 5, day 6, day 7. It's like, because literally there are days when I'm like, I have to move to another country, light this on fire, and return their money and pretend like this never happened. Because there will be days when I don't know how I'm going to do it because it's something I've never done before. So anyways, I hope I didn't just jinx my track record of being able to just figure it out by like saying that out loud. But here's to documentation and vulnerability and showing a painting with no face on it. And you know what? Who says that I ever have to like put this out or let anyone watch it? You know? It might just be for me to be like, oh, remember when I tried to paint Bob Marley and then I had to leave my family and pretend like I was abducted? Yeah. All right, this is probably day 10, 7, 8. I don't know. I lost count. I stopped vlogging because I was doing some painting during the day when I had our team in the studio, and that would be weird to vlog in front of them. I don't know how people do that. Anyways, I've come to the conclusion that Bob's head is too low, like he doesn't have a neck in my painting. I did this before. The other time that I did this was on the other full size, this 48 by 72 that I did of Stevie Nicks. And I fought it for so long because you're thinking like, something's wrong. I know the head's too short, but it's like, no, it just looks weird. I need to get further along in the face. You keep going and going and going. But then it's like, having a really hot face doesn't make your neck longer, right? So I eventually ended up having to just paint over it and lift everything up, right? So I've only been working on Bob's face for 2 days, I think. So I'm going to call it. I'm going to paint over his face. I'm going to give him a longer neck and repaint the face higher up. So I think I've come a long way. I'm not going to cry. I'm just going to do it. You know, you live and you learn. What's up? Welcome back to my channel where I figure out how to paint things. I'm working on a huge Bob Marley piece. There he is. And the perspective changes behind him. He's on a path. And I'm figuring out how to make plants look farther away. So here's my inspiration photo. I love the sepia look of this and how things are just like not clear in the background. So I'm thinking what I'm seeing is maybe I need to use a brush with a less defined tip. Obviously the color's gonna change, the shadows are deeper, and I think the edges need to get blurry. So I'm gonna try it with this. I'm working on this amp that goes with Bob Marley's Gibson guitar. I did research on the guitar, couldn't find data on a specific amp that he used, so I just looked at the year that he was playing the most, which was late 70s, early 80s. He passed away in 1981, so I was looking at the model of Fender amps in 1981. Sometimes logos change, like I pulled up a 1981 exact model to kind of use as my inspiration. And one thing that did kind of change is there's these really cool like silver boots or shoes almost on the sides of the edges. So I'm gonna add those right now and freehand the logo. I finished painting Bob Marley a couple months ago or a month ago. I don't know. But since he's been finished, he's actually still been in my studio. He's not, my collector's not local. So we're, getting framing done and shipping logistics and stuff. But anyways, I kind of love it when I have a piece that's like technically all the hard work is done in my space and I can just pick it up or like paint on it for like fun. Those are my favorite pieces, like Frida and Stripes and Inked Einstein were in my studio for like over a year because I didn't paint them for anyone. I didn't have a deadline or a collector at the time. And so I would just pick them up and keep painting on it. And anyways, They're my favorite pieces that I get to just keep painting on. But Bob will leave soon. He's going to a lovely home, and I like him so much. I think so him and Stevie Nicks are the same size, and they're the only two that I've painted with a background like this, and they've been two of the hardest pieces, but I mean, I think they're really good. Let me know what you think. I just finished the key, all of my little like breakdown of all the symbols that are in Bob Marley's painting. I just finished Bob Marley's key tonight, and now I'm putting pencil on canvas. I'm going to sketch Martin Luther King. So I've been in this height of research of very deep in like civil rights and like perspective of Bob Marley. He is so like strong in his message of love and unity. It's so beautiful. I'm really excited to see kind of like what Martin Luther King's message is, like what his one word is with each of these rebels, founders, icons, these people that I paint. There's usually one word that I would say, like this person is curious, or this person is fierce, or a leader, or whatever it is. Bob is obviously love. Like he is just, I learned a lot about the oppression that he experienced, and I didn't know this before I painted him, but he's half white. His dad was British, and in Jamaica at the time where he was living, so 90% of the population is of African descent, and all of the Africans were brought to Jamaica through the slave trade. So they are all direct descendants of this awful displacement. They were taken from their homeland. And so he, as a half white person, experienced a lot of prejudice and rejection from Jamaicans as he was growing up because he was white. So in the 60s, his mom actually moved here. He came to the United States in 1960s, and that was the height of our civil rights movement. And he was seeing Americans who are Black fight for their rights, and he's a freedom fighter. He writes songs about love and unity, and he had been on the receiving end of racism for being white, as well as seeing and experiencing racism for being Black. It's so cool that he experienced hate on both sides, and yet he came out being such an example for love and unity. It's mind-blowing, and that's obviously why he's such an icon, and it resonated with so many people who needed to hear it and feel it, embody that, and deep thoughts. I just finished Martin Luther King, painting Martin Luther King, and he had been on my like wish list for a long time. And anyways, in between commissions, I usually take like a week and let my brain breathe, take care of business that's on the computer away from the easel. And one thing that I do is I'll work on certain mock-ups for potential next commission. I'm considering painting Marilyn Monroe. I've researched her before, so it was just kind of like brushing up on things, and it's just such a stark difference between Martin Luther King to Marilyn Monroe's life, because Martin Luther King was so important, and what he did was trying to right one of the greatest wrongs in all of humanity, and he was so brave and so noble and one of those like shining lights in history. And now I'm researching Marilyn Monroe, and I immediately remember the weight of her story. It's a cautionary tale. It's sad, but she was important. Like her story was so important. And I was having these like conflicting thoughts of like, this feels kind of frivolous after thinking so much about Martin Luther King, and then looking at Marilyn Monroe and thinking, wait, why are we talking about her? Is it because she's pretty? Immediately I started feeling myself getting defensive. Like, no, her story matters, and I don't know how to put it into words, but it's important. Men wanted to be with her, women wanted to be her. And why? And if that was good, and if we've come far from then, I just wanted to like put a sweater around her and be like, come on, sis. Like, what she experienced and kind of like represented is such a symbol of the female experience. And not the female experience, like my experience on a day-to-day basis, but like the female experience throughout history, like how women get value or got value, how they were groomed to feel valuable, or part of survival was pleasing men. Anyways, she was incredible, and I hope that I paint her this year. Okay, bye. Happy Valentine's Day. So, today, the Bob Marley biopic is coming out. We're going. I'm so excited. Date with Aaron. Okay, biopics are really obviously tricky for so many reasons. And I wanted to, one being obviously the actor that's chosen to play the person and depict their lives. There's so many details that have to get right, like wardrobe, set design, all these things, accents, dialect, tons, right? One thing that I'm always very conscious of, especially in when I'm painting someone, is there's a thing called a Kibbe body type, and I know Kibbe isn't the only person to have this, philosophies. There's face types, different ratios, hair texture, like there's all kinds of things, but body type is one. It's just on my mind right now because the only previews I've seen of the Bob Marley movie, the guy, the actor, and I don't know his name. I need to kind of look into him, but I don't feel like he has the same body type. Now, that being said, I'm not saying that you need to cast someone that is exact, because there's more important things, right? Like in energy, like I think that's the most important thing when you're like, that's not even the same type of person. And I don't know how to explain it, but there's so many different layers and elements to a person when it comes to themness, like the authentic, I don't know, like, when you can see someone walking down the street and you're like, oh, I could see, like, you would recognize your best friend from high school from a mile away. It's the ratio of their body, the length of their bones, the size of their head compared to the rest of their body, things like that. It's really, really interesting. And then there's like energy, their countenance, because there's people who are still in their same body, but then like they have a head injury or a personality change or they're on drugs or whatever it is. And then their entire countenance changes. So there's so many different layers to likeness. And anyways, I'm really excited to see what type of energy this actor brings, how the story is, and yeah. All right, if you guys see it, let me know what you think. And obviously there's so many different things to take into account with likeness. It's not just the face or, skin tone, posture, voice, because there's singing involved too, height, weight. Bob had a very unique bone structure on his face. So I'm just interested because when I saw the preview, I just thought, that's interesting. That does not like give me Bob Marley. And so I'm excited to see like if there's something about him that like his energy is exactly like what it needed to be. Because I know that it was, I believe it was cast by Bob's son. So I don't know, I want to believe that there's something that was so much more important than likeness, which I totally believe. There's things that are more important than physical likeness, and there's so many different levels of likeness that I'm interested to see what it was about this one actor that it was like, okay, you have to play Bob. So yeah, anyways, before I paint anyone, I do all of these different researches on every person. I go back and look at kind of like youth pictures, which helps. Like, for example, in Marilyn Monroe, she has naturally curly hair, like a very strong wave from the root. She had plastic surgery. She had a chin implant, a couple nose jobs, and possibly an eye lift. And that is really interesting because when you look at her original bone structure, that's what I need to know, like the underlying, like what she's working with originally. Anyways, these are just all information that is really helpful for me before I start to paint someone, especially how I'm painting their bodies as something that never did happen in their real life. I need to understand what the body is so then I can reimagine it. And it's helpful because sometimes I'll say like, okay, Marilyn Monroe, I can look for pictures of Scarlett Johansson because they have a similar Kibbe body type. So yeah, anyways, it's rabbit hole-ish, but it's very fun. I love an inspiration board. I make one for each of the portraits I paint, digital collages of photos, art, fashion, cultural events, articles, movies, music, you name it. These boards have always been digital, but along the way I have collected these prints of art that I love, photographs of important events, fashion inspiration, and just things that make me happy. So I'm finally getting to put him up in my office, and I think I need more room. It's a Friday night and the kids are off of school, so I decided while Erin's in the kitchen cooking with the big kids that I got this My Salon Wall puzzle from the gallery to do while they're baking. I don't bake. I'll eat the cookies. I'm not going to bake the cookies. I have done the other two puzzles. The Two Daddies and a Dame was very fun. And then the We the People, the one with all the, it looks like the stickers laid out, has been my favorite so far because there's so many people and it's somehow easier because like when I see an Abe face and then I see, the top of their outfit, I know the other pieces that go together. So that it's like these tiny little puzzles within a big puzzle. This one that I just opened up looks like it might be the hardest, like most difficult, because 50% of the pieces are all black and gold because of the wallpaper and the gold frames. So to me, this will probably be more difficult, but I'm really enjoying it because when I made this design, I chose images of frames that we've had to say goodbye to. I used all my favorite frames to be in this My Salon Wall puzzle, so it's difficult, but it's so far been really good. All right, today is our first artist talk at our new gallery. So this is open to the public. When I write the key, which is all of the historical facts and stories that are embedded in the portrait, when I write that key, there's so much that's left on like the cutting room floor. There's so many stories, so much context, so many details, and incredible things that won't fit on an 8x10 print. So when I finish an original, we have an original release party for the collector who purchased it or who commissioned it, and I get to talk about everything that I learned about them, all the good, the bad, the ugly, to their family and friends. We have an original release party. Now that we have our gallery space, we are opening it up to the public. We are having an additional night so that the public can come, and we're going to, so tonight's our first one. It's an artist talk. I'm talking about Martin Luther King tonight, which I'm so excited about because the key is literally like 1% of the things that I was really impressed by or that really inspired me from him. It's like almost disturbing how recent all of it is and how much of it I thought I knew, and that it really was just like the tip of the iceberg with him and with history. And he is such, I was telling Megan, she works with us today, I think he might be the best person I've ever painted, like morally. Like he just is such a good person, and I'm really excited to share him with all of you. So anyways, Martin Luther King prints are on sale as well. If you'd like to come and learn about him, come hang out, come chat, and learn a little bit, maybe swing by tonight at 6, I think, 6 or 7. Check the website, check our Instagram. I'm currently working on a Teddy Roosevelt portrait. Teddy is such a cool guy. He's actually kind of hilarious. Like if you've ever watched Parks and Rec, I'm pretty convinced that the character of Ron Swanson is completely based on Teddy Roosevelt. I'm assuming he loves bacon. He's almost like a caricature. He reminds me of my husband. After doing research on him, I decided I'm gonna have my husband model for this piece. And actually I have him model for a lot of things. Modeling in the very loosest term. Almost all of my portrait's arms and hands are my husband's. I wanted Teddy to be in a vintage, like a Victorian boxing stance. I wanted to get a really good photo reference. I needed his body. Okay, so I got it. And now I have a painting of a topless Erin in my office. And today we're having a meeting in here, and it's getting a little uncomfortable because it's hot. It looks great. It looks really good. And it's hard to take him serious. He's our business manager, so he works here with us, and we have employees. And that's kind of weird. It's his body, but like I made Teddy jacked, and I might have gotten a little bit too much into it, so he feels very uncomfortable, which I love.